Let's have a closer look now at some of the key issues shaping the midterm elections and what that outcome could mean for Joe Biden and his presidency. Let's bring in our experts today, our panel. Peter McGauran, a former Consul General of Australia in Houston, Texas, and Bruce Hawker, veteran Labor campaigner who covered the Democratic convention back in 2016 for Sky News and a keen watcher of US politics. Bruce, let's start with your overall explanation for our viewers who might not be across all the detail. Just in broad terms, what are the midterm elections?
Yes, it's much more complicated really than the Australian system, Kieran. In the United States, they have elections every 2 years, which they call the midterm elections. Even though the president is elected every 4 years, the House of Representatives elects all its members every 2 years, and the Senate, even though it has 6-year terms, elects 1/3 of its senators every 2 years. So there has to be a midterm election exactly at the exact halfway point of the presidency. So that's what is coming up in a week's time, the second Tuesday in November. A big election, and not exactly a nationwide election because not all those Senate seats are going to be in states where they'll actually have Senate contests, but certainly in all the House of Representative seats and many of those governor's elections and local elections, we're going to see Americans out voting in big numbers. And it, as you said at the outset, can be something of an indication of how the president is travelling and what the next 2 years may mean, because if the Democrats lose control of the House of Representatives and the Senate, which they currently control, then that becomes much harder for Biden to get his agenda through. And just to give you the numbers, in the Senate, which has 100 members, there are 50 Democrats and 50 Republicans. It's deadlocked, and the Vice President casts a casting vote when the vote is deadlocked. The House of Representatives, at the last elections, there were 220 Democrats elected and 212 Republicans. So that also is on a knife edge.
Peter McGauran, it's not a presidential election, but it is a verdict, isn't it, in a way, on the first 2 years of the Biden administration?
Oh, very much so, Kieran. If the Republicans gain control of both the House of Representatives and Senate, then the Biden presidency is over. It will be the most agonising lame duck and drawn-out presidency for the next 2 years because he doesn't have enough strength, he doesn't have a big enough constituency to force things through. And because American politics is so polarised now, the Republicans will not give an inch in either chamber over the next 2 years. So any president without control of the Senate and the House of Representatives would struggle under their constitutional system, except for defence and foreign affairs, to maintain any real influence. Biden particularly will suffer. And at this stage, I don't know if Bruce would agree with me, momentum seems to be favouring the Republicans. Remember, they're only 12 short in the House of Representatives. First-term presidents always lose between 30 to 45 seats, as history tells us. And in the Senate, there's 8 close contests and they only need to win 1. I'm prepared to call it a Republican majority, albeit narrow, in both.